introduction, judging by the volume of people in this room. But I'm going to bring them out, and I'm going to step off to the side and let them do their thing, because I know you have questions. And the way that's going to work is you're going to queue up at that mic, and we're going to ping pong back and forth, and I hope we get to all of your questions as best we can. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the original vocal cast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
When you become that successful, you just don't give a shit about anything. Hi!
Take a little nap there.
Yeah. Well, so Steph,
yes, dear.
Don't leave the stage.
Well, you want me? I can't sit on your lap for the whole thing, so
just how would you like
that? No, I like. Well, what I want to do is I said I'm just going to have a seat here for a second.
Okay.
All right. I see you're ready to ask a question, so let's get right to it, because you've got an entire room full of people who want to talk to you guys about the amazing career you've had, where Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has gone, where it's been, and it's just a joy to have you all here together on the stage.
And we have the fifth turtle in the front row right here. Come here for a second. Can you come up the steps here?
Yes.
It's a micro dude.
Take a photo, and I'll make sure to get it to. Can we take?
It's a micro dude.
All right, everyone, look at me.
Okay, good night, everybody.
That's all we have time for. Thank you so much for
Alright, people are in line.
You'll get 10% of your admission back for that.
Why don't we go that way and introduce our respective selves so these people know who these old folks, with the exception of Renee Jacobs, are.
Perry Gordon, Donatello.
Townsend Coleman, Michelangelo.
Renee Jacobs. Who am I?
Lucky guess.
Cam Clark, Rob Paulson stand-in.
Rob Paulson, Cam Clark's parole officer. It really is a huge honor to be here with you guys. We have had the good fortune, although not nearly often enough, to have done this maybe only a couple of times. LA, I think, where were we? Calgary. And here, really, not too many times where we can all be together. But it is so wonderful.
Sober.
Sober. S-O-B-E-R for the young turtle in the front row.
Sober is my favorite thing of ice cream. Sober.
He's the leader. No, but the thing that's the greatest thing about this is when we get out to do this together, we do what we just see here. We have people who come in who watched us when we were, a bit younger, and you were really young, and you got your turtle shirts on, and then we have new turtle fans. This is such an unusual circumstance to have this.
One of the really great joys for us is seeing the folks who were 8, 9, 10 years old when the show first started. We're now adults and all right. And you've got your own kids now and are bringing them through and raising them up on the original TNA.
So why don't we get to the questions? We have this lady is here first, and she's got a kick-ass costume, so I don't want to mess with her.
Thank you. Party. By the way, I have been a big, huge Turtles fan since I was like 9
years old. My best friend's little brother introduced me to it, and I've been a huge fan ever since. And it's a great honor to meet you guys. My question is, were you guys appalled as I was for the recent movie, How to Make I mean, come on, April O'Neil was not the daughter of the TGRI CEO, and she was still the news reporter and the kick-ass girl that she was.
Confession, I haven't seen it. Have any of you seen it?
I've seen it.
Oh.
I was just thankful that April wasn't zipped down to here.
As in some of the fan
As in some of the pictures you bring me to sign.
Yeah, we've seen some
For
pretty
goodness
interesting
sake.
fan art.
Yeah, some of the fan art comes over and I look at it, of course, Renee, we all have a huge crush on Renee. But some of the fan art comes by and I go, wow, those look, are those real? Eyes, I'm talking about the eyes.
Well, the secondary part is
I think Donatello was doing something else in the lab that he never really talked about.
This subject has come up a lot, of course, online and Twitter and Facebook and all that. And the only thing I can say is I've not seen it either. My son, who obviously grew up with, a lot of us had kids who were little kids at the time of the Turtles. He was under the impression that it was going to be awful. And he called me and he said, you know what, I thought it was pretty good. Now, I hesitate to say that because I don't want to have my throat slit as I walk out of the room. But it's, to me, and I'm not trying to wax way too philosophical, but it seems to me, for all of the vitriol that Michael Bay elicits from an audience, he sells a lot of tickets. And I see people kidding, well, I saw the movie and it was awful. Well, he got your $12. If it's not any good, it's real simple in Hollywood, isn't it, you guys? If people don't buy the tickets, they don't do another one. And I'm not saying the movie was good or bad, but it's a really simple equation. If nobody goes to see a thing, and they do it 2 or 3 times in a row, then that guy's not going to make any more turtle movies. But I do have to say, and it may be good or bad, but the truth is they greenlit a second Ninja Turtles movie like that.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying, but again, it's a real simple equation. People went to see it.
Secondary, my daughter is 7 years old, and I exposed her to Ninja Turtles when she was 5, and she has a total kick-ass philosophy for the Ninja Turtles. Number one is that she is totally enamored by April O'Neil. She wants to be just as empowered as April is. And number 2, she actually has a crush over Donatello.
Okay, I have to ask this question. Is it the old Donatello or the new Donatello?
Well, on top of that, I told her, hey, you can have Donatello as long as I have Leonardo.
And I'll just keep eating my pizza.
What's so funny is I look at he's trying to use the ball. Here you go. He's trying to get some action, baby.
He's so coy.
Oh, isn't that? That's the elevator species.
His rear end. I saw that.
Yes, sir.
Let's take our question over here.
Yes. So I told Rob Paulson this when I met him, and this is just one question real quick. I'm a huge fan of the crossovers you do with Doug Walker on MyGuyWithGlasses.com. If you haven't seen it, you should. It's amazing. He's a huge Turtles fan. It would just be amazing if we can get the whole crew to do something with him. My question is, I'm not piggybacking off of that question, but I need to know, what were your thoughts and memories on the first Turtle movie from 1990, and did you see any movies that followed?
Anyone want to take it?
My thoughts was, why didn't they ask our cast to do the voicing?
We just figured early on that they would, because we've been doing our series for a couple of years already.
But there's always seemed to have been, up until then, a desire for continuity, be it the Flintstones or Scooby-Doo, even if someone drops out, they look for the same voice. And since we were all still alive and kicking, we were just thinking.
Not only alive and kicking, I mean, we were just getting going. I mean, it was it. And so when
they would not see us. And obviously the box office, like Rob said, was not hurt.
Right.
Surprisingly, with my not being there.
I think that it was a really valuable lesson for me, and I don't think any of us have been, and I can say this because I love these people, I've known them a long time, and none of us have been fortunately struck with the sort of arrogant gene of show business. Well, I can a little bit, but not. But no, and we haven't. And so what it did was reiterate the fact that we understand that the characters are whom you love. We understand you're very, very appreciative that you pay such great love and admiration for the work that we do, but we don't draw them and we don't write them. And so I think it's clear, I think it was a really great example of that when, there were a bunch of people protesting outside the theater saying, hey, wait a minute, Townsend Coleman isn't in this, I'm not going to go see this movie. Cam Clark's not in this. And it was a great example to understand how it's the characters that really, whatever it is that Kevin and Peter created, it's the characters. And we're a nice part of that, but we're not all of it.
I'll throw this in.
Just as Tammy and I actually, I've not said this out loud before, but we were not involved in that because we were rehearsing Turtlesque in Vegas at the time.
They really came out of their shell.
Too sexy for my chef. Not to be negative, but here I go. It has nothing to do with whether they cast us or not. What I think was missing from the first movie, particularly, was that the characters were not delineated. It seems to me they were all pizza-eating party dudes, and that's what they were. And what I loved about our series, what I love about the new series with Rob, is the fact that the characters are characters and they're different and they're individuals. And I think that's what kind of made us interesting was, that we all partied and we all did pizza, but we all had our own thing. We had our own attributes. And I didn't see that in the movie.
No, and that's absolutely true.
They all merged together.
Yeah, they did really well, but I have to say now, after the fact, and many years later, you have a lot of adult folks who now are like yourself, who've grown up and watching the Turtles, and they are very clear about who they love the Turtles, but they're very specific about which turtle they relate to, and it generally has to do with respect to their personalities, and so that's kind of...
Or their weapons.
Or their weapons.
Or just the color of their bandana.
We all love Turtles Forever, though. It was an amazing scene.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Good. There's some great stuff. Yes, sir.
Okay, my question is for everybody. What was your greatest obstacle when it came to voicing all of your characters back in the day?
Greatest obstacle?
Yes.
Getting to work in LA. Getting in a session. It's the best job in the world. We go to work, once a week for years and work with people who you would choose to be your friends, and then you get paid. And then 20 years later, we're still here.
Hey, you got paid?
Just more than you. But no, there's no downside to the gig. The hardest part is getting it. And truly, I'm not trying to be a smart ass, although I am good at it. Getting to work was probably the most difficult part. Once we got there, it was just pure joy. You work with these people every week. Are you kidding me? Cam, what's your 2.5 years?
Just getting to the audition. It was.
Are you speaking of to come up with a voice that ended up being chosen, for example? Is that what you mean, or?
That would be one thing to come up with a voice.
Well, they give, when you do these auditions, there's a character sketch and a little bio of what their thoughts are. And generally, I think what most of us do is we give something that is on the paper, and then we'll go, but I kind of got a thought that maybe this, and if they hate it, they hate it. And you leave it at the audition. You come up with your choices, you dump them there, and then if any of you are actors, the hardest thing in the world is to let it go and be done. But
Yeah, when we auditioned, I think all of us auditioned for maybe all the turtles. You know, it's sort of the way it happens, and then they make their pick about, you know, which ones they think might fit what. They knew early on, I mean, they knew that when they cast Barry, that he was going to be Donatello. Same with Rob, he was going to be Raphael. But they hadn't decided whether Cam or I were going to be Michelangelo or Leonardo until the very first recording session. And it was such a crapshoot. They happened to use me as Michelangelo on the first read-through, and then we were going to switch. For the second read-through, that never happened, and so I just ended up...
And you're really the only one of us who really changed their voice for the character, right? Really?
Well, yeah, maybe a little.
I mean, you might tweak it.
Where were we when they, was it the last place where they, when we were in Florida, they showed the first 5 episodes, and I realized that no, I mean, because I do a voice as Leonardo, but I was just speaking, this is not Cam's voice, because I live in China's. I pretty much used my own voice, and then it kind of tweaked it into kind of like a superhero-y, leader-y thing. The butcher version. Started out there.
And of course, there was never a doubt who was going to be April O'Neil. There's only one actress in Hollywood, California.
That's actually not true.
Oh, come on, I love that story.
I'm telling it. So I was called in to audition with the 3,000 other women in Los Angeles, and we had this very interesting director, and we all auditioned, and then that was it. And I got a call. You're playing April O'Neil, and after the first session, this director called me aside. He says, "You know, you weren't going to be April. I thought your audition was terrible. And I didn't play your audition for the producers. But after I played the 200 other women and nobody was good, I played yours. I told them, this isn't April." And he played April, me, and they said, "That's April."
Consequently, and not surprisingly, he's not working anymore.
So in terms of acting, you never know what's going to stick and what's not going to stick, whether your tape has been, or your lines have been listened to or not. It's luck of the dice, it's preparation, meeting opportunity, and all of those things.
And Rob is right. I mean, I didn't change my voice much for Donatello. I mean, it's my voice, so I just pitched it a little higher. That was about it. No.
Barry was, remember the Nestle's Quick Bunny? That's Barry.
You can't drink it slow if it's quick.
And it really was an embarrassment of riches with a hell of a good group of people. And Pat Fraley, who's gone to be probably one of the preeminent voice acting coaches in the world now, was Krang and Bern Thompson, right? And Pete Renaday was, and Baxter Stockman. Pete Renaday was Splitter, and Vernon.
And Vernon.
Yeah, Vernon. And James, the late great James Avery, Uncle Phil, was Shredder. It was a career-changing thing.
Yeah, I didn't have to change my voice for Donatello, but bebop.
Oh, that's right. And Rocksteady right here.
Yeah, Rocksteady. Yeah.
Yes, who's next? Are we over here?
You're on this side.
Over here? Hi.
Hello. So I was a big fan of the original run, and I did notice that it started off kind of gritty and kind of violent, and maybe geared towards teenagers, and over time kind of softened up a little bit. Still good, but kind of geared more towards children. I was wondering what that transition was like for you guys as voice actors.
It's called CBS.
We went from, rather than going from network to syndication, which is typically how it's done, or was done, we went from syndication to network.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And then we're subjected to network standards and practices. You know.
They run so scared, at networks. I mean, there were notes, notes like, and I'm not even talking about racial profiling or things like that, but ooh, that Italian accent is a little too strong, and that old woman, she sounds a little too frail. We don't want her to, ruffle any feathers. So the climate over the past 20 years changed so much so that looking at their shadows, and it's a shame that some of the gets lost because of the times in which you live.
Yeah, look at Family Guy now. You look at shows like that even 20 years ago, shows like Family Guy and The Simpsons. If you look at The Simpsons at the beginning, that show has morphed into stuff that is much more controversial. Although I have to say we've become inured to it so much that it's not controversial anymore. Even the new episodes of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have some badass bad guys. I mean, pretty intense stuff for a TV show. But the fact that, like Tony said, we went kind of ass backwards. The whole thing has been crazy unusual from the beginning. The toy company paid for 5 episodes. It came out, it did okay. And then they said, we'll spring for 8 more, they could run up 13 so we could loop it and syndicate it. And then it hit. And then CBS said, we want this, and presumably paid a pile of money for it. And then the movies came and everything just went, and here we are 20 years later. And if we had the room and people knew about it, we could have 20,000 people in here. It's such an unusual circumstance.
They have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Tupperware, for God's sake.
Oh, I know, I love burping lids.
I have a fabulous Leonardo Pinois set. All Peter, gold lame shoes with little blue puffs on the ends.
That's why he's the leader.
Thank you for your question. Yes, sir, ma'am. Is it ma'am? Sir, sorry, sir.
Well, I discovered you when I was 5 because my brother showed me to you and I was like, whoa! So I was wondering, all of you, what you thought when you figured out, when you discovered the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well, listen, let me tell you, because I was just going to piggyback on something that Rob said. When we first auditioned for this, Robbie and I were working on a show called Fraggle Rock.
You were the lead guy.
I was Go-Bo. Yeah. Oh, Whitley, you're right, Dusty. Allergies all in your head. And Rob was Goober. I was Goober. And this was the animated version of Fraggle Rock for NBC that we did for a year. It was supposed to be 2, but we got canceled after that first year because somebody's daughter didn't like it. Yeah. But what I was going to say is, back in those days, and just sort of getting to your question, is that there were shows like My Little Pony and Fraggle Rock and Strawberry Shortcake and stuff like that. So in one of our sessions for Fraggle Rock, this vaunted director came in and pulled out of his briefcase a copy. He said, "You guys aren't going to believe what I'm going to be casting and directing next." Pulls out a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Well, I don't think any of us had ever heard of it.
I heard of the comic book a little bit, but not really. I heard of it. That was it.
Yeah, and we just looked at that thing and went, "Whoa!" I said, "This is whoa, that's it." Okay, well, this is kind of interesting. Probably not much life in it, but sure. And who knew?
I thought my agent was just having a big joke. When he called up and he just said, "I'm going to send you out for something called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Don't you have anything better to do than to call me with these ridiculous things?" And he said, "No, it's really a show." And he said, "There's a kind of an underground comic book." And it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
This will last 5 minutes. But when we saw even when I saw the audition script, I thought, this should last more than 5 minutes because it's really well written. It was really fun. Yeah. And it was so good, and I thought, wow, this is really, but I had no idea. I mean, if anyone ever told me then that we'd be sitting in a room now with all of you folks, talking about a show that's 27 years old.
The next thing you know, though,
30 years old.
some knucklehead's going to pitch a show about a talking sponge who lives under the ocean.
How ridiculous is that?
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly.
Hi, right over here.
Hi. So I first off love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles so much.
Thank you.
And my favorite part of any episode is always the theme song. Will you guys sing that?
You want to sing it with us? You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power. They're the world's most fearsome fighting team. They're heroes in a half shell and they're green. When the evil Shredder attacks, their turtle boys don't come no slack. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Splinter taught them to be ninja team. Donatello leads a teleguns machine. Raphael is cool but rude. Give me a break. Michelangelo is a party dude. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Know that you know that in the new show they have a really kind of cool homage to the original theme song, which is cool. And do you know that do you guys know who wrote that song?
Oh, this is great.
Chuck Lorre wrote that song. Who created 2.5 Men and Big Bang Theory. He wrote that song. Like he needs some money.
Who
did that.
question? Where are you? You're back there. Do me a favor. If you send me an email to my work, I'll email you the clip up on stage and be videotaping.
Oh, thanks, Steph. Cool. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I can hand you some Ninja Turtle drawings I made for you guys.
Sure. Yeah. Are they ticking? Ticking or have like, sure.
What color? We've got some great fan art over the years, and just this weekend, some of the cool stuff that you folks have brought us is just amazing. Look at this.
Great.
It's Mikey.
I'm going to pay $6 a piece for these on eBay.
All right, buddy.
That's great. What is your name, sir? What is your name, sir?
Sean Curry!
John. Thank you, John.
Sean.
I'm an old turtle.
It says John on top of the paper. When he says Sean, does he really mean to say?
I just don't know how to change feet.
I love the fact that it's on notebook paper too. It's like he was doing it in study hall.
Yeah.
Or math class.
No, we've gotten some, and this weekend is no exception. We get the coolest stuff. And people, you all are so incredibly sweet and generous. The things we get, it's mind-blowing. Thank you so much. That's right.
First of all, how lucky are all of you that every one of them is here right now?
Even we are.
I have more of a request than a question. I think it'll be entertaining to hear Donnie and Donnie. And I think it'll be entertaining to hear Michelangelo and, forgive me, Mark Chang.
Oh, all right. Good to see. All right, so you're Donatello, and I'm Donatello. You're a genius. You can't find a microphone.
What's happening, Donnie?
Well, I am.
Don't call me Donnie. I've never called Donnie.
That's right. Barry made that point earlier. He said, they call you Donnie a lot on the new show, and he said, they always called you Donatello, didn't they?
Always Donatello or Sir Don.
Sir Don.
But yeah.
No, it's kind of cool that I have an opportunity to get another ride in the Turtle Van 25 years later. And I get to be the smart one. But you were smart and you got chicks.
Hey, but you know, you get to...
I really do. In the new
generations going on here.
Yeah, I get to have an interspecies romance with April O'Neil.
Yeah. Is there a human-animal hybrid in your future?
If she has enough alcohol.
Don't come and knock it if this turtle band
That's right. Yeah, gas, grass, or nobody rides for free. Yeah, and you know the beautiful young actress who plays April O'Neil on the new iteration of the show is Mae Whitman, who you guys know. She's on Parenthood, right? She plays Amber on Parenthood, and she's also Tinkerbell in all the Tinkerbell movies. She's
She's also Katara in Avatar: The Last
She's,
Airbender.
Thank you. She's your agent.
More than anything, she's Pat Music's daughter.
She's Patty Music's daughter, so I've known her before she was born. So you want to hear Mark Chang talk to Mikey too, right? Okay, that's my surfer dude talking to your surfer.
Oh, that's all right, dude. I was like, I'm sorry, who are you?
My name is Mark Chang, and I'm on Fairly Odd Parents.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, well, dude, my name's Mike. It was actually Michelangelo, but they call me Michelangelo. Yeah, and it's like, do you like totally dig pizza too?
No.
Like, what's your favorite pizza?
I don't dig pizza, I dig Vicky.
With anchovy and hot fudge?
Again, if there's enough alcohol, yes. And you know what's the greatest thing is that and this is not too dissimilar to what we do at work. That's like work. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking.
It's not working, you're having fun, right?
So things change. So right now, what do you don't dislike the most of this version of the?
What do I don't dislike the most? There's a double negative there. What do I dislike the most about the latest iteration? You talking about the TV show? Well, it's pretty hard for me to say something that I don't like about the new TV show because I'm on it. I tell you what, there really isn't. I have to say, honestly, I like it even better now than I did before. We will always have the original Turtles, and that's something nobody can take away from virtually any of us, right? Because we love that iteration. The great thing about the new show is that it's being made by you guys, and I mean that, it's not, I mean that metaphorically, but the people who are making the show grew up watching Ninja Turtles and they get it. They so get it. And the vast majority of the reviews have been really positive because they get the mythology, the ethos, they respect the fan base like crazy. But it even went up a notch more. They respect it so much that they had all of us on the new show. And that's not the last time that's going to happen. They said, the folks that produced it, Ciro and Brandon Allman, were talking about how, yeah, we got to do this again, we got to have them on more, we got to do that. April came in, Renee came in and brought us all brownies, and so there's some really cool stuff coming, and that again though is a reflection on the power of the original franchise. So by and large, I'd have to say that most people like what's happening with the direction the new Turtle franchise is going. Obviously, there are people that are going to say, I really like the original best, and that's great. But forgive me, don't say stuff like, those guys are trying to screw up my childhood. No. Nobody sits in Hollywood finding a way to spend $100 million to mess up your life.
So one bite of the brownies and they decided to have the original Turtles back, isn't it?
It's a special brownie mix.
A very special brownie mix. But it's the first we've heard of this, so.
Forgive me, I took my agent. I rambled too much, but these guys all have opinions too, and that was just mine. I don't have too much bad to say because they're still paying my rent on the Turtle there.
The beautiful thing is that you can choose what you want to watch, and the entire series that we created is available to you. So you can decide what you want to watch, when you want to watch it, and you can enjoy us all.
Available in a smartly packaged turtle van.
Yeah, we're on Amazon, and the old ones are on there. And I think, listen, I think that the way that Rob and the other guys have kept turtles alive is great. And I love it. And there'll always be differences between the two, and there'll always be similarities. But you're right. It's a wonderful show. You should watch it. Watch both. Enjoy both.
Freaked you out there, didn't it?
Well, I was wondering, for you specifically, Rob, do you prefer playing between the two turtles? Do you prefer being Donnie or Raph?
Yes.
Well, I'll just take that answer. That's good.
That's the truth. I love them both, and it's like it's a Sophie's choice, baby. I love them both.
Other thing, I was at the last panel, and I wanted to say, I don't think I properly said thank you for that ringtone you gave me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Or not a message, answering machine.
Oh, did we do that?
Yeah, thinking the brain. You just gave me this insane answer.
Oh, that's why I said that people want money from you?
Also, I hate to ask for a favor, but would you mind doing one for my friend Noah? Because I feel like he's going to hate me.
Well, I can't at the moment, only because we have other folks who want to get
Yeah, that's
Thank
why I
you.
said.
Hi, Noah.
That's why I said it's done now.
You're welcome. Thanks, man. Hi.
Hey guys, we met this morning.
Oh yeah, you came and took a picture with us.
Yeah.
You're the one that was in the witness protection program. Surprise, you're not anymore.
Something like that. So anyway, people have already asked the questions, so I've had to try to make up some questions as I go. So here's one. You've probably been asked this. Michelangelo, if you are a turtle from New York, why do you have an Orange County surfer dude accent?
Dude, you have no idea what the waves are like down in the sewer.
Okay, one last question. I sing with the Tualatin Valley Harmony Masters in Hillsborough. Have you guys ever considered a barbershop quartet?
Actually, Rob is about to perform in Colorado with a full orchestra doing all of the fabulous music from the Animaniacs.
Denver next Friday. Things to do in Denver when you're not there. One of which will be going to see the music of the Animaniacs live with Tress McNeil and Jess Harnell and myself. Thank you, sweetie. The truth is, we all sing, and we never really did any music on Turtles.
We do have this wish list thing that we want to do. We want to do Happy Together.
Yes.
With the original Turtles.
Wouldn't that be cool? We wanted to do Turtles. Yeah. We wanted to find a way, and if anybody here knows Howard Volman and Mark Kalin, please get in touch with them. You do? I do. Well, please call the Turtles and tell them that the Turtles want to perform with the Turtles.
Right.
So if we can do Happy Together, wouldn't that be the bitchest thing? Mark, please tell them, okay? And my email, you can reach me on my Twitter, which is @YakkoPinky. So follow me @YakkoPinky and let Mark and Howard know that. I mean, we're the real deal, baby. And we are happy together. So thank you. Is that your question? We're good?
Yeah, that was good.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Okay.
So wait.
Oh, sorry.
So, tenor, lead, baritone, bass. Who's who?
Well, we're both tenors.
Well, I guess he'd be top. And if I had my voice, I'd be second tenor.
So you're lead. Like
baritone and bass. And you would do the weave away descant.
Well, you know, the fact is that the beautiful Renee Jacobs had a scholarship to the University of Southern California and got her degree in music performance. She's a supreme vocalist. She's an opera singer. So this girl went to college at one of the preeminent universities in the world because she's a great singer. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we can do with her.
Hi. So
yeah, you 5 are the whole reason I came to Comic-Con in the first place.
Thank you.
I love the Teenage Ninja Turtles. It's awesome. I also love you, Rob, as the mask.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I got to be Jim Carrey for a whole lot less money.
Better Jim Carrey. Anywho, I just wanted to ask, what's your favorite memory being on set in the original cast recording? Yeah,
Of Turtles, you mean?
Yeah, I mean of Turtles. Yeah,
God.
together.
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean,
Dang it.
No, again, as we've said many times, we didn't know this was a thing. So we show up as glad to have 8 days work. So there was no like, oh my God, we're going to be in the Music Man on Broadway. And we worked together. I think, 3 of us were little Big Brother ponies, excuse me. When that was on. So we worked together and it kind of snuck up behind us. There wasn't like this, big balloon Happy New Year thing. It just was like, whoa, I guess we're here. I guess we've arrived.
I think one of the surprising things that I remember is that 2 things. I was at the museum in this huge park outside, right near my house with my daughter. And she was in a stroller, and I'm walking through the park, and I realized, oh my God, every child has a Ninja Turtle hat, socks, shoes, t-shirt, shorts. Do you remember having all these things? You're wearing your shorts now, right?
I can vouch for that.
Anyway, I realized that had we had our faces on television versus our voices, we would have never been able to go out in public. The other thing I remember is that we had to do public service announcements because you guys were taking the sewer covers off. I think we have a few of those people in the audience. Yeah, and people were, it was dangerous, taking off. So we had to do all kinds of public service announcements telling you we weren't in your sewers.
Truly though, in terms of being one specific memory, it sounds hackney, but it's true. They were all precious. We had a blast every week. And the excitement and the camaraderie that you see on the stage is not manufactured. I love these people. They're my family. And so, no, it's true. And so, anybody, when you get a chance to do something from a clean sheet of paper that becomes this, you are sort of joined at the hip for life, and it just so happens that we're all really great friends. So every time we work together, we would just, stop the show because Pat Fraley was acting up. Or,
Well, I was going to say, some of the most, and I don't have one specific, but some of the best times that I remember were just laughing so hard at some of these guys who are so facile and quick and just hilarious to watch work. Robbie, you and Pat Fraley and Jess Arnell and Billy West, watching you guys is just amazing to me. Yeah.
It's entirely too much fun, I promise you. Yes.
Thank you.
I have a special request for you guys. It would really melt my brain if I could hear some of you guys do lines from the original Turtles movie.
Well, we weren't in the movie.
I know, but it would be awesome if you did the lines.
We don't know them. We weren't in the
script.
Can I just tell you? Can I tell you some of the lines? Okay, so April, when you meet the Turtles for the first time, you say something like, "Why don't I ever dream of Harrison Ford?"
Why don't I ever dream of Harrison Ford?
Okay. Michelangelo, you're ordering a pizza and you say, "If you put anchovies on this thing, then you're in big trouble, and the clock's ticking, dude."
All right, if you put anchovies on this thing, you're in big trouble. And the clock's ticking, dude.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is kind of a hard question, but would you rather be a teenager, a mutant, a ninja, or a turtle?
Well, I think at this point, with all this gray hair on top, I'd sort of opt for being a teenager.
Thank you. What about you?
I want to be a ninja.
How's that working out for you?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
A mutant sounds really good to me. Yes. Yes, I wouldn't mind being a mutant.
I love that. I love that you're just, you know what, screw it, I'll get mutant.
You know, who can be, maybe I could be in like 2 places at one time, do 2 Comic-Cons in one weekend. That would be fun.
Good idea. Do we guess it?
Hi. I was wondering, from all your experience on the show and on the episodes, what do you think was the wackiest element of the whole series?
The wackiest element of the whole series?
Yeah, like what part of it is like...
Camp Park!
Besides the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle part?
Yeah, the fact is you have to talk about willing suspension of disbelief. My God. People like, you know, he said this thing that just didn't sound right. I said, no, let me see if we get this straight. You were complaining about the fact that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle said something that didn't make sense to you?
You know, I got to go back on this thing about, well, this is a crazy idea, this would never go. I have to confess to all you guys, I never thought that because what isn't possible to be wonderful or whatever. I mean, we, you know, kids believe in Santa Claus and how does he get in and out of the chimney? Well, we don't have a fireplace. Well, he comes in through the stove. Okay, good. At least he can get in and out. So any piece of copy that I put any 4 adjectives in, Teenage Mutant, somebody, something, and I'm like, okay, good. Why not? Possible?
We never get in a position, we make our living doing essentially what got us in trouble in 7th grade, you know? So it's not like we question the fact that you're a talking bunny that sells chocolate mix, right? And I'm a lab mouse bent on world domination, or a turtle, or, you know, whatever. Or a point, it really, we go to work and we switch on our 9-year-old brains so we don't think about, well, this is really odd, you know? And you guys come here and dress up like your favorite characters, so you guys are in the same boat that we are. Thank you for asking.
We have time for one more question.
One more question.
Hey guys.
Hi.
For the pizza jokes within the show, and in the spirit of the Angry Video Game Nerd, did you guys ever try any of the pizzas or have anything to do with the ideas behind them? Like, did you come up with the ideas, help them come up, or was that just the writers? Did you try any of those ideas?
Every show has different ways of working. Turtles, we weren't given a lot of leeway as far as vamping and improv and stuff like that. They were pretty keen on the scripts, whereas other shows, for example, Rob and I were on Barnyard together, which was an amazing, my favorite experience ever.
It was fantastic.
And we would do it with the script, and then they say, okay, everybody pages down, go. Let's pass without the script. That is probably the funnest thing for me.
Yeah, Cam is very fast with that. Chris Hardwick was on that show, and so there was a lot of improv. Also, I mean, we were all, David Weiss, who was the sort of head writer on the show, I think pretty much the whole time, right? He was terrific, and he is terrific, I shouldn't say was. He's still working a lot, he's terrific, and so the scripts would often be so solid that they would inspire you to say, you know, improvise and do odd and ends. Was your question also with respect to pizzas and what kind of pizzas?
Oh, well, there was another thing I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
More importantly, in terms of drawing inspiration from other cartoons, did you guys ever watch any other older cartoons from like the 70s or 60s? Did you draw inspiration to your characters? And what were they?
Yeah, we always watch cartoons. What the hell's the matter with you? No, of course, yeah, we all were inspired by that. But I mean, I think that this was such an original concept. We all just jumped on board and tried to help be creative as possible. I don't know that about all of this. I certainly didn't have anything that said, oh yeah, this is kind of like a cross between Foghorn Leghorn and Rocky. Oh yeah, all the cartoons, all that stuff is so important. It still is. Yeah, thank you.
You guys, what a treat to just be able to share a little bit of your real estate. And for those of you out there whose photos and stuff I have, I'm at Steph Strickland everywhere on social media. I want to get those things to you. A big round of applause, and then I'd love to take a selfie with you.
not a selfie, it's a groupie.
Eat your heart out, Ellen.